Rogers TV Durham would like to acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation of the Mississauga Nation. May we respectfully honor the knowledge and understanding of the Indigenous stewards of these ancestral lands and ensure that the voices of the First Peoples are represented in our collections, programs, and services.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Players Corner with Karim Grant. I am your host with the most, and in this special episode, we have none other than Aaron Manswell. He is a writer, composer, producer, musician, and all-around great guy. Aaron, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me,
studio.
Bro.
It's, you know what, it's been a long time coming. I've been able to be at the seat at the table to watch you eat and watch you grow as a person, and it's been a long time since I've been wanting to sit down and have a word with you and just talk to you about your journey and where you're going, because there's a lot of big things that you're doing, a lot of great things that you're doing, and a lot of great things that you've come from, and I want you to talk to me about that. You're a musician.
Yeah.
Were you born a musician? Like, how did this even come to fruition?
Was I born a musician? I mean, you know what? Just from the jump, I want to say I always felt like I had just an ear for it.
Right.
You know, I just remember being like really young and grew up in my grandparents' house, and they had a really old piano. Mm-hmm. And so we used to just kind of play on it and just kind of make up stuff. And then my mom saw that myself and my brother were just playing on it a lot, and she said, you know what, let me just invest in this and give them piano lessons. So we started piano lessons I started at the age of maybe 8, I think.
Right.
Took it for like 2 years, realized that I was reading the stuff, but then also kind of playing by ear, making up stuff. And then, of course, growing up in a religious family, we used to have what they call worship every Friday nights. And so even though I was taking lessons by reading by the book, my grandmother, she would say on Friday nights, hey, come see if you could play this song for me.
Yeah.
Right? And most of these songs too are like old Caribbean songs and stuff, so there's no real sheet music or anything to go by the book by. So you had to learn it by ear and play it by ear. Mm-hmm. And so I want to say that's kind of where I began, you know, figuring out things on the piano just by ear and figuring it out in my fingers rather than by the book.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just playing in church and stuff like that. Not until a bit later, but I'd say that's the beginning.
Yeah, that's incredible. But I mean, you know, growing up, obviously, I don't know too many 5, 6, 7-year-old kids who aspire to be musicians. What did you want to do when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I think I was like a lot of us, where I wanted to be an NBA player.
Wow.
Like, that was my thing. Growing up here in Toronto, who do we have? We had Vince, we had Tracy, we had, you know, I guess my era when I was a kid was like Alvin Williams, Kevin Willis, all those guys.
David Stoudemire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? He was a bit before
your time.
I started watching.
I don't want to age you too much.
So those guys are my heroes.
Yeah.
And so I even bought, like, Vince Carter had a biography book or something written by Doug Smith or something like that. So I bought that book when I was like 10 years old, and I read the whole thing. Yeah. And just the fact that he was a musician himself too, right? He grew up playing the saxophone, I think, and I really connected with that because I'm saying, man, here's this amazing NBA player. You can do whatever on the court. You can shoot. He's the best dunker ever. Yeah. And he still had the discipline of music. Right. And it was still instilled from him from when he was young to the point where he even uses it right now.
That's incredible.
So that was inspiring to me.
That's incredible. Yeah. Now, do you still play basketball to this day?
Of course, I'll never stop.
Yeah. I mean, you're a tall guy. What are you, 6'4", 6'5"?
About 6'4", yeah.
6'4", 6'5", tall, lean, and you can run like the wind, right? And so when did that part in your life come where you had to decide on the piano or the basketball?
You know what? I want to say in college. Mm-hmm. Because coming out of high school, I mean, yeah, you were on for this, but coming out of high school, I was really looking into basketball. You know, I had a really good senior year, and I went to a school called Crawford Academy, and so there wasn't really a lot of scouts or stuff like that coming to our games and whatnot. And so I remember playing a school called Pope John Paul, and then there was a scout there from York University, and he said, "Hey, I want you to come play for us." And I remember saying, I'm not really sure if I wanted to do that just because of like my religious background and stuff. Like I didn't know how to just manage all that stuff at that point.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to study music though.
Right.
So my whole focus was, can I play basketball in college, but then also study music?
Yeah.
And that was just a tough thing for me. But ultimately, I ended up choosing a college that had a really good music program.
Yeah.
And that school was called Oakwood University.
Oakwood University. Shout out to Oakwood. Back in my day, it was called Oakwood College.
Yeah.
But just rewinding a little bit, because you did do some big things. You put Crawford Academy on the map, I think, because before that there were really no eyes watching Crawford as a basketball school.
Yeah.
And I do distinctly remember a good friend of mine, shout out to him, shout out to Roy Rana, reaching out to me. He's like, "Who's this kid, Aaron Manswell? I need to get him."
Yeah.
It was his first year at Ryerson, and Roy Rana went on to become one of the coaches at the Sacramento Kings, and now he coaches overseas, I believe in Africa somewhere.
Yeah.
And so he's really big time. And by that time, this is some years ago, he wasn't as big as he was, but he saw the talent in you.
I didn't even know that. I'm learning something new now.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think I ever told you, because I just knew your focus was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't want to delineate from that focus, right?
For sure.
And far be it for me to get on the bad side of your mother.
Of course.
So I said, let him go do this thing, because you were really good at music. I mean, you just played things by ear incredibly. So talk to me about your progression in music and how that shape the person and the artist you are now, because you're not just a person who plays the piano. You're an artist. You create.
Right. Well, just going back to where we left off with the Oakwood thing. There's something really special about that place, and I get excited whenever I talk about it, because it's a very little known school, but it's a historically black college university.
Right.
And it's just something in the soil about Oakwood University. The moment you step down there, especially as a musician, there's so much talent, and it's not just the talent within the music department, it's the talent amongst everybody there.
Yeah. Didn't Brian McKnight go to
Brian
Oakwood?
McKnight, I don't know if there's Take Six.
Take Six,
which
that's
is
right.
the most, I want to say the most awarded a cappella group of all time.
Absolutely.
It's funny, Davido actually went to Oakwood.
Davido went to
for a year.
Shout out to my Africans. Davido went to.
So I was there when he was there.
That was incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I did not know that. It's a fun fact.
There's another guy who's coming up right now. His name is Devin Morrison.
Okay, I think I've heard of him.
Can I get to the yams?
Yes,
Sweet, that was him.
Can I get to the yams? Is that what they taught you at Oakwood College?
No. So Oakwood is a Christian school, by the way. But it just goes to show you the talent is, again, from a school that has 2,000 students, which is like a high school up here in Toronto.
Right.
To have that kind of place. So anyways, I was there and I was studying music composition. And because when you're in school, you have to learn a lot of theory, and you're learning just a lot of classical music and stuff like that. But then on the campus of Oakwood, it's a lot of gospel music. So the combination of mixing those two together became very, very easy.
Right.
And then there was an amazing group or amazing choir called the Aeolians of Oakwood University.
Right.
And so I had the privilege of singing in that group and traveling all over the world, Russia.
So wait.
Yeah.
So how do you go from becoming a pianist to a singer?
Let me tell you. I actually just decided to. I saw the flyer on a wall one day, and it said Aeolians audition. Mind you, Aeolians is like, in my estimation, the greatest choir on earth.
Right.
And I said, you know what? They're right here. Let me just see if I can audition. And I have a really low voice, and someone heard me in the hallway, like, yeah, you should see if you can audition. So I walked in. The director said, hey, so what are you gonna sing for me today? I said, wait, I have to say, I had something prepared, or
Yeah.
he goes, I was like, you know what, maybe we can try like doing some scales and stuff. And I guess scales is just in terms of seeing what my range was.
Right.
And I was able to kind of go really, really low on the piano.
Yeah.
So from that point, he needed basses. He saw I could read music. He said, you're in.
That's incredible, man. That speaks to your confidence because you leave home, you go to a different country in the South, because Oakland's in Alabama,
yeah.
right? And become a singer when you're native to the piano itself. So incredible accomplishment in and of itself, but it speaks to your drive, and that drive propelled you on to other things after Oakwood University. What'd you do after that?
After Oakwood, I was trying to figure out what was next as far as my life was concerned. I mean, you're only 22 when you graduate, right?
Right.
And so I figured I needed to do something musically. And the opportunity actually came back for me to give back to my institution that I graduated from in high school, which is Crawford.
Nice.
So I ended up becoming the band conductor there for 5 years.
Good for you. That's incredible. I mean, and you're doing this while currently living in Whitby.
Yeah.
Right. Shout out to all my Durhamites out there. This can be you. You can be like Aaron Manswell, who's from Whitby, but you're taking your talents all over the world and doing great things. So you did 5 years of being the music director as well as the band leader at Crawford Adventist Academy. Yeah. And then from there you went on to where?
I ended up getting into school at the University of Memphis.
Wow.
In Memphis, Tennessee.
Something with the South.
Something with the South.
He likes that. So how was that experience? So you went from a predominantly black school to now you're going to University of Memphis, which is also a secular school, not a Christian school.
Not a Christian school.
And this is your first experience in not being in a Christian atmosphere. How was that for you?
Well, I mean, not only first experience not being in a Christian atmosphere, but first experience kind of just being completely on my own. Right. I went there not having known anybody. So it was almost like I was starting over again, trying to create a network, find a job, all these different things. I mean, the school was giving me a pretty good scholarship, which is why I went there in the first place. But just imagine going to a place where you knew nobody.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience for myself. I was maybe about 26, 27 when I did that. And it taught me a lot because when you have to just figure out life on your own while doing what you love, it teaches you a lot of things just about yourself.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lot of things about just the fact that not everything's gonna be given to you.
Yeah. Did you learn to play the blues? Because that's like the birthplace of a lot of blues.
I did.
Good for you.
I did. And so I was actually a minister of music at a church there. And let me tell you something. Memphis, to me, I know people know Tennessee for Nashville, because that's kind of where the country music industry is and stuff like that. But Memphis, to me, has the talent.
That has the talent.
It has the talent.
Yeah.
It has the real singers, the stuff that you can't teach in school.
Absolutely.
Is what's there in Memphis. The blues. I mean, it's known for Elvis and stuff like that. But I mean, Elvis, to me, took a lot from what was there in Memphis.
From the black culture.
From the black culture.
Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. And we are in Black History Month. We are celebrating our heroes. You are Black history in the making. And we're going to talk a little bit more when we come back from commercial about what you're doing with Division. You have signed a deal to go on tour with Division for a few dates on their upcoming tour. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that. So when we come back, we're back with Aaron Manswell, the music producer, the musician, the composer, everything that he is and more when we come back on the Players Corner with Karim Grant.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Understanding human nature can be a superpower.
The first 48 hours are critical.
What kind of
is Rogers TV.
Hey, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Players Corner with Karim Grant. I am your host, Karim. I'm in studio with Aaron Manswell. We're just talking and chopping it up about his journey and all the things that he's accomplished. We have just talked about the fact that he's received a Master's of Music Composition from the University of Memphis. Prior to that, had got his bachelor's from the Oakwood University in musical composition. He is an incredible guy, an incredible story. We're just talking to you about Aaron, about that journey and what happened after that, because now you're in different spaces now. You're in a different level. You have a Master's of Music, you have a Bachelor's of Music, and now you're in different spaces. And from what I gather, you're gonna be on tour pretty soon. Who are you gonna be on tour with?
I'm about to be on tour with the R&B duo called Division.
Wow.
Who are right here in the city.
Nice. Yeah. So Division's also from, one half of them is from Pickering as well.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and the other half I think is from Scarborough.
Yeah.
So shout out to Scarborough and Pickering. I've lived in both places, so shout out to you guys. You guys do great things, and Division's one of my favorite groups. Yeah. The fact that you're going on tour with them speaks to a lot. How did you become such an influential figure in this space that you're able to be in their space now?
Right, so before this tour even materialized, at least with me in it, I've actually worked with them on some production. So for their album that just came out in November, I actually worked on the song called Get Even.
Okay.
That has, if you listen to Get Even, the intro begins with an orchestra. Right. And then there's an orchestra also throughout the entire song. That leads into the intro, the outro, I should say. So I did the orchestra.
So you're humble. You're being humble. How did that even happen? Like, how do people find out about Aaron Manswell? Like, there's got to be some kind of circle of friends that you guys are a part of. Like, how does that materialize?
Yeah. So first and foremost, my brother, Jordan.
Shout out to Jordan.
Shout out to Jordan. Jordan is actually signed as a producer to 1985, which is one half of Division. Okay. And so, I've always kind of known 1985 just through him. Okay. But then when I came home, I actually moved home during the pandemic from Memphis. Right. And said, you know what, let me just start working on some pandemic projects like we all did. Okay. And so I ended up...
Were these all like gospel projects?
No. So these were projects that I would take NBA highlights, as stated before, I'm a big NBA fan. Yeah. And I would create orchestral compositions to these NBA highlights to accentuate when the ball goes in the basket, or when, MJ iced out the Utah Jazz in '98.
You did an incredible one, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron did an incredible rendition of the time that Kawhi hit that incredible shot, and I'm hoping that our guys in the room there can pull it up for you guys to see. But just the way that the music and it just was composed so succinct to the actual shot going in, and the way it kind of dangled around the rim and it went right in. It was such an incredible moment in Toronto history, and you were able to kind of really encapsulate that feeling. Yeah. So that was really good. So from there, you were doing these kind of like short videos.
Yeah, just short clips to show, hey, I can score like real movie scores, right? I can make something feel very, very theatric, even in NBA highlights. Right. And so because I think we both kind of follow each other on Instagram. This is me in 1985. I'm assuming he might have seen those different things. Yeah. And then one day he just DM'd me and he said, hey, I'm working on the last few songs for the Division album coming out soon. And we're looking at adding some orchestras or orchestra for some songs and whatnot. And we're wondering if you'd like to just be a part of it or help us out with it and stuff. And so he ended up giving me the address to the studio and everything. We ended up going into the studio, I want to say a day before the album was due with their label. And I think I got at the studio maybe around 6 or 7 p.m. Yeah. We didn't leave till like 8 or 9 the next day.
Wow.
8 or 9 in the morning, just because I was scoring out everything, but then, he has his ideas of what he wants it to sound like too. And then Daniel, the singer, has his own ideas as well. So just trying to hear both of them together, mixed in with my own interpretation of what they would want.
Right.
It was my first time just kind of orchestrating stuff right there on the spot. Everything I've done before has just been in my room, solo dolo. But hearing and trying to combine everyone else's ideas while doing it with myself, it was challenging, man.
Now, can that be overwhelming? Like, these guys are guys who are BET nominated award winners, nominated for various amounts of awards, have various accolades, have top 100 Billboard hits, and they're asking you to come in and help them with something. Yeah. If you don't like something, can you say, nah, cut that? I don't want that.
Well, but so the thing is, because there's such mutual respect between the both of us, I didn't mind saying, hey, that's not gonna work, or this, or I like this part, and vice versa with them. But then I also think it just comes from the fact that going to a school like, say, Oakwood, where you're kind of taught to bridge the gap between classical and, let's say, gospel or R&B or whatnot, it just became easy because you kind of know what people want in terms of not only just by what you're reading on the page, but just by ear as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's such a correlation between R&B music and gospel music. You grew up in gospel music, in the a lot of Christian valued music in your home. How did that help you become the secular artist you are today? Not saying that you're not a gospel artist too, when you want to be, but I mean, I think you're just an artist in general. How did that help you on the secular side?
First and foremost, the history and the roots of what we call today pop music, or just anything on the radio, really is gospel music, right? So you listen to the way anything in soft rock, anything in R&B, anything in, like, we can name a bunch of artists like D'Angelo, we can name, Destiny's Child, all these different artists, Jodeci, they all, what's at the end of their projects? Gospel records.
Gospel records.
Just because that's where they came from.
Right.
And just the fact that in gospel music, you have to be ready for any changes, and it's a mixture of jazz, it's a mixture of blues, it's a mixture of, R&B, and even on the piano playing in church, you have to be able to improvise.
Right.
And just be following. All those different things are characteristics of
to me, I think everything starts in the church and then kind of matriculates outside of it and becomes pop culture. Yeah, right.
Listen,
pretty much everything, right? So it's really fascinating to see, everything that's gone on in your life and how it's kind of come full circle. And I was always wondering when watching you, like, okay, how are you going to make this thing work in terms of being a non-secular artist? But now you've been able to encapsulate both and really push that forward to the next level. What is your biggest fear about this upcoming tour?
My biggest fear? I would just say maybe something as practical as just forgetting the material. Right. And forgetting a chord or two or whatnot. But I wouldn't say anything that I haven't done before, because I mean, I've been on tour before, not in this capacity, but more so on, like, when I was with the choir, like I stated before, when I was in college and stuff like that. So I've seen tours before, but not where I was one of the main ones on stage. So that can kind of get, scary if I forget something.
Are you going to be ready for the groupies, for the signatures and all this kind of stuff? Because you're part of the vision now. They're not going to know if you're the singer or anything. They just know that you are the vision. How are you able to deal with that?
Hey man, I can't
take it in stride.
I'm gonna just take it in stride. I can't answer that.
I don't want to put you on the spot and get you into trouble yet, but I'm just letting you know it's gonna get to that point where you're gonna have to make some really smart decision. I know you will, because you got a great background. Taking it back to the sports, not really back to the sports, because we've never really left. Who's your NBA team?
The Raptors, come on, man.
You're a Raptors guy, but weren't you a San Antonio fan back in the day?
San Antonio? No, I was a Dallas
You're a Dallas fan. Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I was.
Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, okay. Shout out to the Dallas Mavericks and shout out to the Raptors. Yeah,
but only because the Raptors weren't good at that point.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Any
predictions for the upcoming? There's a trade deadline coming up. Do you think Masai makes a deal? Do you think anything happens with that?
I'm one of those people that I have full trust in our front office.
Right.
If they don't make a deal, I would be upset.
Really a Raptors fan?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, listen.
Masai, we trust.
Listen, they haven't given me a reason to not trust them.
No, I feel you. They've always put a good product out there.
So when we've needed a certain position, like, do you remember when we needed a power forward? Who did they get? Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
When we needed an upgrade at the center, who did they get? Marc Gasol. Like we
need a shooter now.
Sure. I mean, there's guys.
Yeah.
But I do think though that OG is probably the main one that might be gone before the deadline.
So not to cut you off, but I know we only got a couple minutes left. I want you to talk about an important show you have coming up this Thursday with the Canadian Opera Company. Talk to me about that.
Man, that came from out of nowhere. Let me not say out of nowhere. So I'm actually doing my my DMA, which is Doctor of Musical Arts in Composition.
Excuse me.
At the University of Toronto.
All right. Shout out to U of T. Okay.
Shout out to U of T.
So he's gonna be Dr. Aaron Manswell, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta talk to you nicely next time. Take some bass out of my voice. Okay.
So just being there, I got exposed to a number of opportunities.
Right.
And so one of them was just being in the Canadian Opera Company had an opening to be the composer in residence.
Right.
So I applied, sent in a bunch of my orchestral compositions, sent in my choral compositions. I love writing for choirs too. And one of the representatives there reached out to me and said, "We loved your music so much that we want to give you your own show."
Goodness.
So this is the Canadian Opera Company's showcase series. And my show was called Offspring Live.
Wow.
I named it Offspring, because what I'm creating is my offspring and everything like that as well.
Babies.
Those are my babies. Yeah. And so that's actually happening not too far from today.
And when you went there and when you applied and when you saw the Canadian Opera Company online, did you see anyone that looked like you?
I didn't.
This is why this is so phenomenal. You are walking Black history. That's an incredible moment. I can't wait to see you on stage and hear your music performed.
Thank you.
Are you excited?
I'm excited, but I'm stressed too.
Yeah.
I'm stressed because I want to make sure everything is on point. I want to make sure that people understand that, and mind you, it's not just going to be classical and opera music, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually mixing it in with R&B, with hip hop. I have a live choir, a live string quartet. I'm actually bringing some rapper friends of mine too to rap along with this orchestral stuff too. So
I like it. You're bringing some culture to the opera scene. I love it. Listen, man, this has been an incredible time that we've had together here, man. And I know the sky is the limit for you. And I want you to keep pushing, pushing the envelope. Keep being the person that you are, that humble spirit.
Thank you.
Because that's going to transcend so many generations, and it's going to bring more musicians to the forefront. We just want to thank you, Aaron Manswell, for being a part of the show today. Guys, it's not just about sports all the time. It's about everyone that's affected by sport, whether it's through music, whether it's through anything else that you might do. And this is what we do here at the Players Corner. Thank you for joining us. See you next time with Karim Grant.
Call the Rogers TV viewer